I mean,
Round
let's
Island.
go first.
And you know what, the Navy had
Park Commission to order at 8:32. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mans, would you lead us in the pledge?
pledged to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2 is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel?
Here.
Mr. Van Oz?
Here.
Mr. Mans?
Here.
Mr. Stoll?
Here.
Mr. Folbaum is excused. Item number 3 is the addition or deletions to the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Rathel to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 19, 2013.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Stoll to approve the minutes as submitted for the regular meeting of August 19, 2013. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 5, excuse me, item number 5 is our financial report for August 2013. We are now 42% through our fiscal year. Our budgeted revenues for the year is $724,043. Our year-to-date revenue is $349,568, which equals just over 48% of our revenue budget. Our expenditure budget is the same, $724,043, and to date we have encumbrances and expenditures of $336,717. Which equals just over 46% of our budgeted year. Our capital reserves as of August 31st is $639,265. Past due rent summary as of August 13th is $2,695, and our pending legal action / settlement plan total is $14,294. With that, Mike, any comments on the submitted budget?
I can update you on the fuel inventories. We dipped the tanks this morning. The Jet A has a current value of $3,363. Tank's getting a little lower. We're trying to work it down and see if we can squeak in one maintenance item that we need to do before. I'm hoping we can get in before winter. Otherwise, we're going to have to postpone it until the spring. It's just a tank cleaning, and we need to replace a couple of parts on a pump that are starting to weaken. The 100 Lowlad, the current value in there is $34,652. We recently ordered a load, I would say about the end of last month, beginning of this month. And then on the past due summary, Cully, we're continuing to work down. It's a T-hanger tenant that we've had a long history with of past due rent, and I think we've had probably 3 or 4 legal filings against that tenant. I finally worked with them to get 3 final payments, and then they are going to have the plane out of the hangar by November. They're attempting to sell it or get rid of it. I hope to fill that hangar pretty quickly. It's a south-facing C-row hangar. Those are pretty desirable. So that one should be removed off there within the next month or 2.
Any other comments or questions for Mike on the financial report for August? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rathel.
Support.
Supported by Mr. Mans to receive and file the August 2013 financial report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 6 is the manager's report. 6A is the east side of Hangar 1 update. Mike?
I just want to update the commission with our last study session with the township board on the east side of Hangar 1. I proceeded to try to get funding from the Downriver Community Consortium through the Brownfield Fund, outside of our Brownfield funds, to do another hazardous material study on that building. They approved it. I went to the EPA. They have approved it now, and we are going to do the fields. We're going to start the field work. I'm hoping next week or the following week, get the report back from them. And then in conjunction with that, I'm going to begin to work with a couple of the contractors and see if I can get them to give us a new update and a bid, with some of the information we're learning from that, and just to white box the building to something that we feel is an appropriate design and what we're looking for in our vision.
Mike, the environmental, is that a phase one?
Yeah, it'll be a phase one. They do it in a couple of phases, but we can do it all kind of together. They'll do a phase one and a phase two, and with that, they'll give the estimates, and then our options once they give the estimates, we can use our brownfield funds to tap into any remediation that we think is necessary in there.
And is that being done by AKT?
Yes.
Is that who they use?
AKT Peerless, yep. That's kind of a consultant that's given through the DCC. They kind of pick and choose which consultants you'll work with.
Okay. So
But we have done previous work with them in the past.
they vetted that. I mean, it's their process. We take who they have already chosen as the environmental firm.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rathel.
Mike, when you say white box and you're going out with some of the contractors we've had previous discussions with, you're talking about the first floor, right? Not the second floor.
My understanding from that meeting was we want to white box the first and second floor to basically an empty space in a suitable building.
We could
Now,
always have
if we
put the
want to
number-
change direction, or obviously I'm going to have a conversation with the commission on what we're looking for. I'm not going to go out and get bids on something that I see. I want to make sure we're all on board. But
We could always get a bid.
Could be broken down.
Yeah, right, for the first floor and then the second floor, and so we have a separation between the two.
I think the term white box is a little bit non-explanatory. I think what we're trying to do is secure the whole building and make the facility available for usage. As you remember, during our discussion with the Police Commission, there was some discussion. The Police Commission did not want to be responsible for rehabbing the building, and this will assure them that the building, we will furnish them a building that will be adequate for their gun range if they choose to put it there.
Right, but I don't want to have cost of, when you say white box, to me, that would be on the second floor, basically drywalling, studding, drywalling everything out. So my thought is that the costs that we put in are to secure the overall building, the roof, the windows, and anything for the first floor that we need to do to have that particular tenant come in, not at any cost by putting an infrastructure in place in an area that the tenant is not going to utilize.
Yeah, I think that's the intent, John.
Right. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
I think that's the intent.
Anything else for Mike on the east side of Hangar 1?
One other question, are we still on schedule then to deliver the numbers as we agreed upon?
in the November meeting, that's what we're shooting for. And I'm working on our best. AKT Peerless has worked with us, and they don't think they're aware of our timeline. They don't think it'll be an issue at all to get the report done and in place at that time.
Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6B, which is the FAA inspection update.
I just wanted to give a brief update that I'll have my meeting this coming Friday at the ADO, which is at Metro Airport, with the FAA. It's just a follow-up from the report we received. That report kind of tells us, what some of the issues we have are. This meeting is really to tell me what they would like to see or what our options are for responding to some of those issues. So that I'll know more information after that, and we can kind of discuss in our future meetings.
Any comments or questions from Mike on the FAA inspection update? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 7, which is our action items. 7A is the Duckett McMahon lease transfer and amendment. We have a resolution before us that reads, based upon the recommendation from the Groseal Airport Commerce Park manager, the Groseal Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves a lease transfer and amendment between Ken, is it Cup?
Guppy.
Cuppy. Previously, Duckett McMahon and the Groseal Municipal Airport. Formal lease will be developed pending final approval from the DPW Commission on their storage yard, and Mr. Cuppy providing proof of meeting all lease requirements. Terms of the proposed lease agreement are listed in the history, purpose, and explanation section of this resolution. I'll entertain a motion, and then if there's discussion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz,
Second.
support by Mr. Mans. Under discussion. Mike, any update on, I'm assuming they don't need the existing size of the 50,000 square feet, so, and it sounds like the DPW needs additional space, so it's kind of a win-win.
Yep, these two are really tied together. What's going on here is the current tenants wish to get out of the lease. They want to transfer it to Mr. Cuppy. That tenant in the past, if you remember, what do I have here? On June 1st of 2012, they had the whole yard that you see there in the picture. On June 1st, 2012, we subdivided the yard, moved Compo across the street because we were getting some complaints on the other side of Grow Road. We put them in that lot. They were having trouble to maintain and afford the current lot that they were, so we downsized them to the other side. They have still been falling behind on rent now and again, so this was kind of my other proposal to them to reduce overhead. And DPW has always requested or asked that if a potential yard comes available that we let them know. I've talked to a couple of the commissioners, or I'm sorry, the DPW manager spoke with a couple of the commissioners. There seems like there is interest there for a small yard. They'd like to keep some of their stone piles and dirt piles that are currently on the airport property inside that yard, some of their outside fuel tanks and things like that. And it's also a good opportunity. This yard, it's got a lot of weeds growing up in it, and it's not the, I would say, the best looking yard, so it's kind of a good opportunity for everybody to kind of shuffle around and clean up the yards.
And this is really only for a couple months, if I'm reading this right. It's through, expiration is January 1st, 2014, with 1 2-year option.
Yep, their current lease, I'm planning on rolling it right into their current lease, will expire January 1st of 2014, but then they do have a 2-year option they can pick up in there.
Okay.
And both of these resolutions will be the same net revenue for the airport. Nothing changes revenue-wise.
Any comments or questions?
Yes,
Mr.
the
Stoll.
new people meet all the qualifications of a leasee?
That's what I put in the resolution. I do not have a proof of insurance yet, and so obviously this is pending meeting all of our requirements. Assuming Mr. Cuppy was involved a little bit in the business with Duckett McMahon before he took over, so he knows the rules and regulations, and he's going to pick it up. Obviously, I will not sign a lease until he meets all of our requirements.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rathel.
Mike, have we gone out with any proposal requests for this lot, or did Mr. Cuppy just come forward because he had something to do with the previous tenant or the current tenant?
He came forward because he had something to do with the previous tenant. He's been involved in the yard and helping store things, and I think he actually has a couple of things currently stored in the yard.
Do we know how valuable this lot is? I mean,
It's the same square footage that we charge for that side, this yard total. Both tenants currently pay the same rate. The tenant across the street pays about the same rate.
what about the tenant, if you look to the the west of Grow? There you see the tree, and it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 pieces. You see the lot that I'm speaking of, the yard?
To the west of the red lines, you're saying?
Right.
That's
up front.
Gary Jones's lot. They're all about the same value. They're a little bit different because we do a CPI increase, but they're all right around 15 cents a square foot.
And just following up on Mr. Rathel's question, I'm assuming we've not had others approach us lately for asking us if there's any storage yards available.
No, I haven't had anybody else in that I can remember this summer asking about a storage yard. Mr. Cuppy's also stated that if the DPW proposal, if the commission is not in favor of the lease, then he will just remain with the whole yard. He's okay either way.
Okay.
I can only attest that I've done business with Mr. Cuppy he's already approached me to put an advertisement in the Grosse Ile phone book, so I think he plans on promoting this as a business versus what the previous tenant has done.
Good.
I'd be all in favor of this.
Any other comments or questions? Got a motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Mans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 7B is the DPW lease. We have a resolution in front of us that states, based upon a recommendation from the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves a lease between the Grosse Ile Department of Public Works and the Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. A formal lease will be developed and signed pending final approval from the DPW Commission. Terms of the proposed lease agreement are listed in the history, purpose, and explanation section of this resolution. And just as a summary, the lease commencement would be November 1st this year with an expiration of October 1st of 2016. There'd be one 2-year option. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Stoll.
Support.
Supported by Mr. Van Oz. Mike, anything to add?
Just if the DPW does commit to taking the yard, they'll do a couple of upgrades, nothing too big. They'll obviously have to install a gate or a fence, a gate that'll go into the DPW and airport parking lot there. That's where they'll access it. And then they'll have to install a divider fence between Mr. Cuppy's proposed new yard and their yard. Other than that, that's the only plan changes.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, motion. We have a motion by Mr. Stoll, supported by Mr. Van Oz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 8 is our subcommittee reports. There is none tonight. Mike, anything? Item number 9 is discussion items. 9A is the September 30th MDOT meeting.
This is just a tie-in with our study session on the direction we wish to take and see who would like to attend the meeting.
Are you going to arrange for people to travel together or just meet up in Lansing, or how are you going to
I
plan?
was going to plan on trying to carpool, save some gas.
Okay.
I could set something like that up in an email if anybody would like to attend.
I think that'd be a good idea. If you could email everyone and ask if they're able to attend, and those who can, please feel welcome to attend. We'd
Okay.
like any member that's available to be able to attend, and you could just send out the arrangements so everybody would know where to meet and what time and things like that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Rathel.
I would recommend that anyone that is attending meet beforehand and make sure that everyone's on the same page before we get up there and start having maybe some debates or discussions internally when we're talking to them on this topic. So if you can arrange a pre-meeting or something where we can get together, if anyone's going to go, to talk about our strategy, if that's what we want to call it, but certainly what our message will be, that it's a consistent message from everybody that is there.
Maybe, Mike, think about doing a get-together maybe the night before.
Okay.
What time is the meeting at? I mean, it wouldn't...
10 a.m. in Lansing.
Okay, so, they're going to have to leave probably no later than 8:30.
Yep.
So I don't know if it would make sense to meet prior to that or the night before. I'll let you
Okay.
make that determination. Maybe once you find out who is going to attend, just do a poll and see who wants to meet either that morning or the night before.
Okay.
And
Drive, can't you just do it while you're in the car?
If everybody's going
Valid
to be in
point.
the same car.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, and also I think there's something that we need to think about. Do we want everyone to go? Maybe this is something where you and Ted, go. The message is very clear. I think that, for the 2 hours previous to this meeting, we discussed, what our position was. I think that conceptually everyone was in agreement. So maybe it might be a wise idea where we limit the people that go, and just go up there, sit down with a consistent message. And that's what it is. It's going to be the message from the township. The consultants thought that maybe we should all go and give our opinion of what the overall township or the airport operators, in this case the Commerce Park Commission, feel. But maybe there needs to be a little bit more strategy than just getting up there and having a conversation like we did previous to this meeting. I don't know. It's something to think about, but
Mr. Bands?
I would think less is more. Ted is going to be liaison, obviously, of this board and the township board with Mike. I mean, I don't think we have to inundate him with all of our, you know,
I don't
that
have
would be
any
my
problem with
opinion.
that. I guess that was my point. If you know, if everyone agrees, I'm not opposed to that, but I wanted to throw it out there at least to talk about it.
I think that it's pretty clear which way we want to drive this. It's pretty clear the message we want to get across as to what we feel our responsibility is not. And then it's going to be a listening session, because I'm sure it's going to be the start of some negotiation, because they're probably not going to just do what we ask them to do without some discussion. But I doubt that that discussion will take place there at that time. We'll tell them we're not in favor of closing runways, we're not in favor of fixing runways. We feel that, and it's not on our 5-year program simply because we expected their supervised project to last 20 years, and it didn't. And you can't expect a community to be responsible for that kind of debt, and then let them take the lead. And then we can, when they finish with whatever their lead is, that, of course, will be our escape to come back and say, we'll have to take it back to our commissions and our boards.
Right.
And I think we need to leave it at that, because we're certainly not going to make any decisions up there.
My sense also was that because it's during the day, during the week, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be available anyhow.
Sure.
So I just thought I'd open it up, but I didn't really think we were going to have very many people attend anyhow. So, and if Mr. Van Oz is the only one, that's fine by me.
Well, I would say either through a motion or you know, a management direction from your office, Mike, that you and Ted go. And that's it. You know the message, and then come back with the results with not a lot of discussion. All we're doing is it's not a negotiation, it's our stating our position, that's it. So if you're okay with that, if we, you know, just the commission needs to legislate it, you know, to make sure that it happens, but I would think that that's probably our best strategy at this point.
I don't think we need a motion. I think just an agreement that Mike and Ted are the ones going. I think that's fine.
Okay. I know the only other person as of now that said they would attend was Township Manager Riem, but obviously if we feel that the two of us are adequate, then we can do that too.
Well, we can,
I don't have any problem with Dale.
Yeah, I think that would be
Dale,
fine.
we can have that discussion with Dale on the way up there.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement.
Anything else on the MDOT meeting on September 30th? Hearing none, move on to item number 10, which is the chairman's report. I have nothing to report tonight. Item number 11, public comment. See no one in the public this evening. And item number 12 is adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Mans to adjourn at 8:55. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.